Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Rona, you fickle mistress.
Rona. That's our affectionate name
for Corona.
Well, I mean, not affectionate, but funny name.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, Rona.
Oh, Rona.
You got us all in our houses for a long time.
You get out of here, Rona.
Oh, you get out of here, Rona.
Nobody wants you. Oh, Rona. So we actually had a different podcast scheduled to be released for today's episode. But in lieu of
the whole
pandemic 2020, we're here reporting on the scenes in California, where we've all been locked down and confined to our homes, where everyone who enters battles it to the death, and only one shall win in every home. It's literally like Thunderdome. Thunderdome 2020. You know what that's from, right? Mad Max?
No.
Mad Max, two shall enter, one shall leave victorious. Yeah. So basically,
the longer you talk about it, the less I care.
Every home is turned into a war zone, I'm guessing, for the most part. A lot of homes right now, people are up in arms internally with all of their emotions about Corona, and a lot of them are
Rona.
Rona, and they're all being more and more confined to their homes, it seems like, across the nation.
Well, I've got to say that there's multiple things that people are having feelings about.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Oh, okay.
But I want to say some of y'all's homes might feel like the Thunderdome right now. People is getting angry, going to their separate, stressed out, going to your corners.
Stay in your corner.
Yelling and screaming. Social distance in your house. Just practice social distancing. Y'all go to your room, I'll go to my room. If you don't have a room, you go to the bathroom.
You stand in the bathtub. I'll stand at the sink.
But we're going to talk about today some of the emotions, things that people are feeling through this, what it looks like to be powerful through Rona's destruction.
To be empowered and find hope and life and joy and connection. Because this is actually an opportunistic time.
Yes.
There has never been a time on the planet, like, it's basically the whole world's on forced vacation.
Buy a lot of stock right now as it's all plummeted. See?
Opportunistic.
Silver linings.
What I was thinking is, like, it really is the whole world is on shutdown. When has that ever happened?
Go to your room, world.
We're all in timeout. It's one big timeout.
Right.
Yeah.
So we want to go into...
We want you guys to actually get to thrive and enjoy this and process the things that come up, so that this can be something that you don't remember as the worst thing that happened in 2020, but something that actually threw you forward.
Our hope is to have some fun, be serious, have some fun, be serious, and have some fun again. Just a little bit of a serious fun sandwich here today. You got a message on Instagram where someone wasn't very happy about you posting a funny meme.
Yeah, that's true.
About old Rona. Right?
Yes.
And that's okay. That doesn't make them bad. Clearly by their story, they're having troubles. Yeah.
They messaged me, but it was a confusing message. It was kind of jabby. It wasn't like, oh, I don't find that funny, which I actually would be fine if they're like, oh, that's not my sense of humor. Okay, cool. Although I don't know why you need to tell me. Just swipe.
You can go ahead and hit unfollow.
Yeah, just swipe past it. Like, you don't have to agree with everything I do.
Right.
But it was pretty jabby. It felt like the way they said it. So, and then they ended up going into, these are all the things that's happening in my life that I'm frustrated and feel out of control on. And I was like, oh, you're just triggering. You're triggering at me. You have a lot of pain going on in your life and you needed somewhere to share it. And so you wanted to share it at me.
Yeah. And maybe you felt like the safe person to unload on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're so sweet.
I am so
You're just cotton candy.
But that's kind of what this process is like for a lot of people.
Yep. Big time.
Big time.
Rona is stirring things up inside of people's souls.
Yeah. Let's talk about the different things.
So, but before we do that, I do want to talk about this because you talked about that stirring things up. Well, as a side note, fun and play. As someone who's worked with people who have had a lot of pain in their lives, I personally keep my humor at like a high level. I try to always play and joke, and even dark humor about really painful stuff inside of my own personal life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other people who do the type of stuff that I do in different fields, whether it's official counselors or therapists or whatever. But I've had dialogues with tons of them, and we all have kind of like this dark sense of humor because we joke about really heavy things.
Yeah.
Because if you're only looking at what's really heavy in front of you, it will devour you alive.
Right.
And sometimes feeling powerful is our ability to just play.
Yeah.
And so we just want you to keep that in mind as maybe we even playfully banter here or whatever as we approach this, that's actually a surefire way to overcome certain things.
Yeah. Having fun.
Yeah, having fun. So why don't you talk about some of the basic things that people are experiencing as?
Okay, so there is the fear of like the actual disease. So the fear of, will I get sick? And we could do a whole episode on that. There's so many people in the world who the way that their pain manifests is through fear of getting sick. So I have a lot of friends that I know who are hypochondriacs who like, it's almost like the way, and I never think it's actually about being sick in their lives. It's always just the way everybody kind of has emotions they allow themselves to feel. Like one pathway that emotions get out. It's kind of like having a volcano underneath the surface, and there's one pathway that the lava gets released.
Sometimes that's intense anger. Sometimes it's just play all the time.
Yeah. But some of it can be fear of getting sick. So you have that fear. Then you have fear of loved ones getting sick. Okay. Then you have fear of not being able to eat, which is like a real fear.
Food's going to be taken off the shelves. I'm not going to be able to eat. I'm going to starve to death. Yeah.
Fear of I'm going to lose my job. Fear of I am not going to be okay. So basically you have all these different fear of I'm going to be trapped. Fear of the government's going to take over control and I'm not going to get to make choices.
And in a world of end of the world movies and end of the world books, we've all gone to The Walking Dead in our brains.
Yeah. So you've got to realize there's all these different areas. And basically what that means is pick your trigger. Pick which one is it that bothers you? Like, which one is it that you're afraid of? Which one have you experienced in the past? Which lie do you... So if you're like, me, I like actually have had a fear my whole life that I would run out of food, which is a funny scenario, but it's true. And so like, that'd be a much more natural one. Like whatever we have coming into this moment, it's going to show up in this moment. This moment
is revealing something about us and what we're already carrying.
Yeah, exactly. And so many people feel crazy because they're like, I don't know why I feel this. But really, it's because it's triggering pain that is underneath that has happened. And it could be anything from your childhood, which a lot of this comes from our childhood. So if you grew up in an unstable childhood, or maybe a parent left and it felt like your world ended, anything that felt like your world ended or was going to end, or that your life was fragile, or that like anything in your childhood where things felt unstable, now that is fair game for Rona to bring up in front of everyone.
Rona be ruining your life. So yeah, all of a sudden these things come up. What do we do about it?
Wait, before we do that, I wanted to share, so we had the car fire happen a while ago here.
Yeah.
And that brought up stuff. It wasn't from your childhood. It brought up stuff from previous things that you had gone through.
It really
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. When we had the car fire, I had gone through my season.
In case you don't know, it wasn't like there was a car that was on fire. There was a fire that devoured our city.
Yes.
It's not just one car.
And it was sparked by a vehicle in an area.
Yeah. It's called the car fire, but it's not about
nothing to do with the car.
A car. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
Wouldn't that be funny if they thought we were talking about like one car?
One car fire? No.
Yeah.
All of Reading almost burned down.
Yep.
It's on fire, people.
It's on fire!
So what happened was during that time, it was on the heels of...
Brian started the fire. Do you guys know what that's from?
There it is.
Oh, it's a good episode.
But it was on the heels of me overcoming my panic attacks that I'd had about my body breaking down.
Right.
And all of a sudden the car fire happens and this panic reemerges where I'd felt a lot of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm suddenly going, oh, I'm not going to be okay, because my biggest emotion when my body was breaking down was, I'm not going to be okay. I'm about ready to die.
Right.
And I am deeply out of control. Whereas in high intense stress scenarios like that in the past, I would have been like, it's no big deal. It's just a fire. We're going to get through this.
Oh, yeah. In normal case scenario, you would not have evacuated. You would have gone around with a hose, like putting fires out in people's neighborhoods.
Oh, absolutely would not have evacuated. But I did with everyone else. I would have been the guy that they're like, we have to arrest you because you won't evacuate. I'm like, no, I'm saving people. Get away. But literally, I was feeling that paralyzing emotion starting to come up that I was having to battle.
So if you've ever had a scenario in life that came out of nowhere, or that suddenly shook your world outside, or felt like your whole world was falling apart, all of those emotions come up because your brain is telling you that this is similar.
Yes. And you're going into survival mode. You're going into like primordial lizard brain to survive.
I need to survive. I need to survive. I need to survive.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So that all of a sudden starts happening.
And so the first step is to actually realize, what is it that I'm actually feeling?
Mm-hmm. You have these two different camps that are happening right now. They're either the people that it's like, the sky is falling, Chicken Little over here. And then you have people who are like, it's all a hoax. Nothing bad is happening. Why do you have any bad emotions?
Yes.
And they're each two sides of a pendulum where it's like, hey, we could take there's actually a serious thing going on financially and things, and there's difficulties here, but we are going to survive through this, the majority of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you touched on the other camp, because I wanted to just say this. It's okay if you're not okay.
It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, like you're going to have, and we're in the process of a grief process. The unknown
Life
is happening.
Is changing.
Everything's changing. So we're going to have waves where grief hits us and waves where we don't feel anything. So I know lots of people will be like, I feel totally fine. And I'm like, you just wait. One day it'll be like the glass falls on the ground and shatters. And then you're like, I'm out of control everywhere. And then you'll have your meltdown. Or then there's the other people that are like, I don't know why I'm crying over this thing that doesn't make sense. And if you guys can just acknowledge, things are changing. We don't know how long or what it will look like. And so it's okay if you have moments where you feel sad, or you feel scared, or you feel insecure or unstable, or you need connection or stability.
And let's connect to some real realities about this situation, okay? There are some people who will lose jobs in this situation. They will be struggling with financial arenas. Like we could bury it and act like these aren't going to happen. No, there are going to be some people who lose friends. There are going to be some people, friends who pass away.
Oh,
there are going to be some people who lose family members.
Yeah.
Maybe parents, maybe grandparents. I don't know. Like that happens. It happens with the flu. It happens with diabetes. It happens with heart attacks.
Yeah.
There is loss that's happening, but we're having a focal point right now on loss.
Yeah.
Like loss is always happening. It's just now the whole world's taking a magnifying glass and going, let's look specifically at the losses that could be occurring and how they're happening.
Yeah, because the truth is, on a regular basis, your finances can go up and down, and your jobs can
lost,
change and grow. And
So, but the point is, okay, there are real pains and real griefs that are happening during this time. So those can't be overlooked. And so that camp of people was like, it's all going to be okay. Yes, we are going to get to the other side of this.
Absolutely.
Like any other loss, tragedy, season of life that we go through. But the other people need to know that we're not being calloused over here. The people who are like, hey, it's actually going to be okay. Other people need to know we're not callous.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, it's very easy for the people in the camp that say, it's all going to be fine. No big deal. I don't have any emotions, to almost act callous towards the reality that there are people who are suffering, that will be affected, who are grieving.
Yeah.
So I think that we can marry the two of those and go, hey, it's going to be okay, and there's going to be loss. And now let's just get to acceptance, because in the journey of grief, acceptance is a big one.
Yeah.
Accepting this is happening.
The whole point.
It's okay that this is happening. I'm going to have some pain through this. Some people are going to have some pain through this. There's going to be change. I can't control this. The external circumstances I cannot control. And that's a big thing that Abby's talking about right now. When fear is coming up and all of this shaking is happening, it's really pushing this button of I can see that I'm actually out of control. A truth that has always been substantially under the surface, that when magnifying glasses like this come out, it reveals the reality that was already there. You have always been wildly out of control. You have just been being able to control little things in your environment to make you believe you have control.
Right. Well, and that's why for me, I actually feel so much faith and trust in scenarios like this, because we've built our lives that hard things don't have to be defeating things.
Yep.
Hard things don't have to take you out. Hard things don't have to end your life. Hard things don't have to. And so I think there's this belief where I don't have fear about what is going to happen on the other side, because I'm like, oh, well, I've been through a lot of things that I didn't know how they would turn out. And there's always an invitation for growth, to become more powerful, for promotion, for breakthrough, to thrive. And lots of ingenuity comes out of people being pushed out against the wall. Lots of creativity, lots of reformation is birthed in situations like this.
Out of resistance and struggle.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this season being like, oh, I actually think that there is a creativity being birthed. I bet there will be a release of entrepreneurial ideas, strategies. Like, I actually think that I kind of think of this season as an incubator time where we are actually, everyone's having to be with themselves.
Yes.
Which is part of why some people are stressed out. They've never been with themselves this long. But
they're either scrolling intensely or finally having to be with themselves.
Yeah. But either way, like, being at home for a good amount of time, people are like running out of things to do. And it's just so you have to be with yourself, which is the invitation to stop running from yourself, to connect to yourself. When we are fully connected with ourselves, that's when we're connected to the divine wisdom, the divine hope, the divine creativity. And so we actually have the chance to be connected to our families in a deeper way. Like, I think of this as we have a chance to do a lot of internal healing right now.
Yeah.
We get to be with our people, the people we live with. We get to engage loving them. We get to engage being present.
Yeah.
We get to show up in life, you know, because it's like a forced vacation for people. And people are like, it's not vacation. I have to homeschool all my kids. And they're going crazy because we can't get out of the house. I'm like, totally. I'm not saying it's not work, but there is something about the togetherness that I think if we begin to heal inside of ourselves, inside of our houses, when we all come out of this time, we could be a more healed planet.
Absolutely. Two things that come to my mind. One, as a side note, I saw this post online that talked about parents who are homeschooling their kids, and a principal basically said, during this time, please stop schooling your kids. Like, literally, you're going to stress yourself out and stress them out more, and it's going to be more destructive. Actually do enjoyable things that are connective. Relate to your children. Play with them. Do something that, if you are teaching them, let it be something that's, you know, hands-on, where you guys are learning together in a creative fashion. That's just a side note that I just didn't want to miss out on.
Well, yeah, because kids are going to pick up, and this is good. We wanted to talk about parenting a little bit because we like to talk about things that we're not currently doing. But since we've counseled a lot of kids and we know the pitfalls that can happen, this is what I have to say. Kids will remember how your home felt.
Yeah, they won't remember probably most of the lessons that happened.
Nope. They won't remember the homeschooling they did.
They remember my parents were total asses during the corona.
Yeah.
And it felt horrible, and I was just waiting for it to end. Or they'll be like, it was crazy. I only remember it because I remember having the most fun I've ever had with my dad during that time. We built tents in our living room.
Yeah.
And camped inside the house.
Yeah.
And we played like makeup games, or I don't know, whatever. Not makeup games, but like we did imaginary. We played like imaginary games, and the floor was lava. And Dad made us put it on our phones and actually interacted with us. I don't know, whatever, things like that. They'll remember.
Yeah. And so, and you don't have to do everything perfectly. I think one of the things as parents is expectations. Like, don't think, oh, I'm going to be able to magically do. I had a friend who was telling me all these things she's planning on getting done during the quarantine. And I'm like, no, girl, you're not going to get any of that done. You have 4 kids. Like, what? You're going to feel like a failure this entire quarantine if you think that you're going to be able to get all of these grand things done. Like, if the goal could just be to be present, and that's it. To be present for at least part of it. You don't even have to be present for all of it. Just show up a little bit, as much as you can. If that could be the goal, then you could feel successful in it. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to hit, though, is to watch what you are communicating around your kids.
Yes.
Because they are picking it up. So the amount of fear, if you feel terror about your entire financial future, I wouldn't be processing that in front of your kids if you can.
No.
Because they're going to pick it up and they're going to internalize it. And they don't actually have the logic capacities. They're not built to carry fear and anxiety as children.
And if for some reason you do have some of those conversations accidentally in front of the kids, do yourself a favor and go back to them after it and get to them to the conclusion. Help them to get from point A where you were at in your meltdown all the way to point Z, the end of the alphabet, where you've put all the stuff together and you have clarity. And it'll be helpful to be like, yeah, mom was really scared there. That was some of her emotions about things that have nothing to do with this. And here's the truth. We're going to be okay. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. I did want to say this other thing really quickly before I forgot it. So on our trip to Spain, which you guys all just got done listening to, as far as our build up to it, we want to share about our trip at some point, but because it was really beautiful. And there was actually a lot of you people that were so supportive via Instagram and Facebook and sent us like love gifts and also purchased the Compassion Project.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so helpful and it's really beautiful. And we can't wait for you guys to get your hands on that as the product comes out fully and launches. But on the plane, I was watching a movie called Brian Banks. And Brian Banks is this football player who was accused of raping a young woman in high school. And he went to prison for 7 years and it was an unjust situation. He actually didn't do it. He was wrongly accused and the system failed him. And so he spent the 7 years in prison. And then he goes on to get out and then fight for his record to be clean so that he's not known as a sex offender the rest of his life. But one of the things that happened in prison, there was a time in prison where a mentor played by Morgan Freeman is talking about who are you becoming? You can either have this all break you or you can become the best version of yourself, basically is what he's talking about. And he draws this circle on the board and talking about your life. And there's these like pathway through the middle of it. And he says, what's the difference between those who become who they're made to be or they don't? And they just live this basically mediocre life. And it's those that were able to get away from distraction. And there's this pathway through life that gets clear. And he said, the gift that prison has given you is the lack of distraction. And now you can choose to utilize it to become the best version of yourself that you could ever be. Again, I'm paraphrasing the whole thing. But that's the thing right now. It's these moments in time where we can either get more distracted with the fearful news,
scrolling,
all of that,
all the what ifs, how is this going to work out? What am I going to do?
Or we can like dig into it and go, I'm going to live a distraction-free life right now. And I'm going to find out what this moment is dropping in my pathway that I can begin to understand more about myself and who I can become in this moment.
Yeah, I love that. Basically, you're saying we're all in prison right now.
We're all in your timeout.
We're all in prison. We're all in this together, but separately because I don't want you to breathe on me.
I don't even know what that was.
That's the song, We're All in This Together.
Oh, I don't know it. I thought you were making it up. That's hysterical.
I mean, I added my own Rona flair to it.
Your Rona flair. So that's something that needs to be strongly considered right now. Am I being distracted? And some of you are actually, you have online businesses or online like ways of working.
Yeah.
And you're going above and beyond normal work days because you're just like, I'm just going to dig into work and get a ton done right now. I don't think distractions, again, are the way to do it. Yeah, do work, but use the extra time to actually plug in.
Yeah. It feels like a beautiful moment that we all have the chance to kind of come back home to ourselves. I mean, literally, we have to be home. But like, if you think of it figuratively, of like coming back home to ourselves, getting back in our own skin, getting back connected to what makes us us and what we live and thrive in. And one of the things that keeps us stuck in distractions is when we're trying to do all the what ifs. How is this going to play out? How is this going to work out? How are we going to do this and this and this and this after this all sorts through? And I believe in wisdom and strategy.
Absolutely.
I don't believe in burying your head in the sand, but also there's a lot of pieces you just don't know yet because they haven't happened yet. And you don't have the grace to try to figure them out yet. And so beginning to be like, okay, how can I just embrace what is currently with faith? So I like to believe, we think faith is one of the most powerful substances on the planet.
Yep.
Me and you. And so if you have faith that this is going to destroy your life, you are going to be a victim to it.
Totally.
And victim mentality leads you to feeling powerless, angry, depressed, hopeless, and keeps you stuck in life.
Totally.
Being powerful in life comes from the belief of everything works out in my favor. Everything works out for good for me.
Solutions come readily and easily to me when I need them.
Strategies come to me. When bad things happen, good things are birthed out of them. Like, there's always redemption and restoration in my life. If you begin to believe those things, you'll start to see them manifest. I have a friend who literally just believes everything's going to work out for her.
Yeah.
And thing after thing, it's ridiculous. At Christmas, she went shopping, and that she had one thing that was on sale for 80% off. And she just was joking with the cash register, like, you should give me all of it at 80% off. And the lady did. The lady gave her entire, she saved like $400.
Wow.
Because she got 80% off of everything. But that's the kind of life that she lives, because she just has faith that good things are always going to happen to her. And so I just wanted to remind you that you really have, this is the moments where you get to choose where you're going to let your mind go. And it takes a little bit of work. I have felt this so much since I've been on the journey with my body. I can literally feel like a fear realm and a faith realm. And the emotions and fear is like a pit in my stomach, heavy depression, hopeless, anxiety. Awful. It feels like I'm stuck in quicksand. And then there's faith realm, which is like, things are going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. And my battle has been going between the two and learning how to build a muscle to get out of fear. Like, no, my body is going to be fine. No, I am going to get to live again. I am going to get to thrive again. And a lot of that for me, I go on walks. I declare, I say what is true. I say what I believe. I'm going to be good. This is going to be used for good in my life. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to thrive. I'm going to come alive. I'm going to have energy. I'm going to get my life back. I'm going to get my joy back. All of the things.
Yeah.
I declare them. I imagine them. I do whatever I need. For me, God is a really good source of faith for me, where I'm like, I feel this trust that I am not alone. There is a divine, all-loving source that wants to take anything that is bad and turn it for good in my life, who is actively involved in the day-to-day details, who sees the whole world, who has a plan to take care of us and get us out of this situation. There is a force of good that is involved in my life beyond me. And what that does is I read books and I listen to music that is positive. I'm actively feeding my faith muscle, and that diminishes the fear muscle.
And what Abby just touched on there, what she just touched on was a lot of people have a deep-seated emotion of abandonment. It's just wrapped into the deepest fibers of their DNA, where they're living, even generationally, where parents, grandparents all felt like the world was against them. They're all alone in this world. And right now, immense fear that's coming up around the world is just showing where all the orphans are.
Yeah.
An orphan is a person who's been abandoned, who doesn't have anyone who loves them, who's there to take care of them, who has a good plan for their life. And that's orphan mentality. There's all these orphans around the world going, no, I'm all alone. I'm never going to be taken care of. I have to do it on my own. If I don't find a solution, it's not going to work out. That's not true. That's not true. There's love available. There is truth available. And when people actually get out of their downward spiral of relating to fear, then they can actually hear clarity from the voice of love and begin to get directions like, oh, what's the next step I should take? I'm going to listen to peace and what peace has to say about my next step, or wisdom. I'm going to seek wisdom instead of fear. But they're all submitting to this God or this father or friend named fear, so to say, and trying to find care inside of that. And it's not giving you care. It's not actually giving you what you need to walk through this process.
Absolutely. I was thinking about one of our friends who grew up with a lot of instability. Her mom was severely depressed when she grew up. So she locked herself in the bedroom for weeks at a time. Wow. And so she felt really alone, and she had to take care of her siblings, and she had so much she had to do on her own, meet her own needs. So when Rona shows up, Rona, suddenly she's right back to that. I'm alone. My needs aren't going to get met. I'm going to have to take care of everyone else. And so what she was able to do is she saw the fear, acknowledged it, cried about it, and then began to reparent herself, which was going back as she is now and actually comforting the little girl that no one saw, that no one validated, that no one spoke up for, and actually telling her she matters and that she's worthy of love and compassion. And then beginning to speak truth to the girl, which is what we're saying, actually getting to the truth. You are okay. You aren't alone. And even then speaking truth, because she's not alone in this season. She has so many people who are looking out for her, who want the best for her. And that's where our emotions and our circumstances can actually be completely different places. She actually has so many people looking out for her, but she felt really alone.
Yep.
We have the ability to grieve, love ourselves, offer compassion towards ourselves, and then get to truth and hope about what was really going on.
Right. And so when your logic brain can look at logic in front of you and go, hey, logically, these are the things that are in place and I'm going to be okay. But I feel this extreme emotion, whatever age you are. If you are a 35-year-old whose logic brain can see that you're going to be okay, you know that you're not actually 35. The emotions aren't sourced at 35.
Yep.
You are physically 35, but the emotions are coming from maybe a 10-year-old part of you.
Yeah.
And so what Abby's saying, just to even add a little bit to it, the idea of reparenting is being able to imagine the moments where you actually felt this. Where did I feel this most? When I was 10 and my dad divorced my mom and walked out of the house, and then everything started falling apart. Okay, I need to imagine talking to that 10-year-old and say, your future is going to be okay. You're going to get through this. I love you. I'm sorry you feel so scared and you feel so out of control. I'm here for you. There are people who love you. You're not abandoned. That's a lie that you're feeling. That's a lie that you're believing.
Yeah.
Just being able to have that type of dialogue. So I just want to reiterate a little bit more on
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
And to talk about that real quick, we go in depth in the Compassion Project about how to reparent and how to have self-compassion and how to walk yourself through pain when pain comes up, how to actually get from the triggered place to the healing place. So if you want the Compassion Project, you should get it. Real quick plug in for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get it at
/courses/the Compassion Project.
But also if you just go to stumblconsulting.com,
there's a button in the upper right corner for the
Compassion Project. Okay. Something that I was thinking about though is another way to, because it's the battle is between faith and fear.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things I want to talk about is to all of the empaths out there, all of the feelers. So if you don't know this, we all are like emitting a frequency.
Yeah.
All of us, all the time. Emotions are resonating outside of us. So some people you'll walk around and you'll just like feel better about life being around them. And other people you'll walk around and you will feel like a cloud.
And you know this, you can walk into a room and there can be someone across the room you haven't even met and you're like, I hate that person. I don't know why.
Or it could be less extreme, like, oh, I just don't want to get to know them.
Like, ugh, I don't know why I feel repulsed by them. They haven't even said anything to me. Like confusing emotions, you're actually feeling that frequency, that emotion that they're emitting, and that, there you go. So that just kind of shows you.
So feelings you can feel locations. You can feel when there's a big group of people, it's easier to feel because there's more intense. So I think of it like radio station, like people are all their own radio stations and they're all sending off a frequency. So if you are an empath or a feeler, I know for me, like if I start scrolling on Instagram, I can just feel fear or hopelessness or depression or powerlessness. That's one of the big ones I feel when I scroll. And so I actually just don't scroll a lot during things like this.
Yeah.
Because I know that I will feel things from other people.
Whether it's the words they've written or it
could be the post they actually make, like that person is feeling it, even though it's not written into the post. Or it could just be all of the people looking at Instagram at the same time.
Because we're all created from one source. We're all bonded. We're all connected. Humanity is all connected. So you can feel other people's emotions.
Yes. So I just want to remind you that if you're a feeler, you have to be aware of that because fear is a loud frequency.
Yeah.
And right now, so many people have it. When a lot of people have the same frequency, it becomes an atmosphere.
They're not just feeling it internally, they're shouting it from mountaintops verbally. So it's real tangible.
And a lot of the news are doing it. So even one of my friends was like, I have to limit to looking to the news one time a day. I'm like, yeah, we all need to be proactive in guarding our hope and our joy and our peace. And so I don't watch the news all day.
Right.
That's not going to do anything good.
Right.
And I look a lot at very real statistics.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, we actually haven't passed the natural amount of deaths per flu per the year yet. Like we haven't, like the actual statistics of what is happening.
What's the statistics in China and in Italy? Like looking at like, okay, I know the statistics. I know the statistics in America right now. Okay, I'm aware. Right. So yeah, well informed. But here's the point in all of this. Feelers or empaths, you don't have to be powerless to it. You get to externally decide how you're going to manage stuff by practically limiting what you're taking in. And then you get to decide to be the one setting the temperature in the room. You get to decide like, no, my peace and my truth is going to be more powerful than what other people are feeling and how they're reacting. One of the things that when crazy stuff like this happens is when everyone's freaking out, we begin to ask the question, oh, I'm at peace. Is there something wrong with me? Is there something that I don't know? Because we see all the sheep going to slaughter and they're all freaking out, and we go, oh, okay, that must be the reality. I must be missing something. And so one of the things is don't question yourself. If you have a lot of peace already, don't question your peace just because everyone else seems to be having a meltdown. Don't go out and buy like a truckload of toilet paper all because, everyone else does. Yeah. And that's what happened in that. That's a very tangible scenario. Everyone saw everyone buying toilet paper. We don't know why we're buying toilet paper. Is Corona affecting our butts? Yeah. Is it devastating to the butt?
When we were in Spain, when we heard that the toilet paper shortage was happening, and I was baffled. Right. I was like, is this a pooping disease? Like, what is it?
But we just see everyone else doing it. So we're like, well, I better go get my toilet paper. Otherwise, it's all going to be gone. We don't know what's happening.
So true. It's so true. The toilet paper industry is probably killing it right now. Mm-hmm. We should buy stock. Charmin.
I think Charmin was the instigator of the Rona. Anyways, go ahead.
I'm going back to having realistic information. There's this thing called the COVID-19 data pack, and it is because information is beautiful. And if you go to data:bit.ly/COVID-19-data, which is very complicated, but you could probably just Google data pack. It has realistic information that is very non-fear engaging, but very truthful.
Right. It's great. Love statistics. Yep. So let's talk about some of the other things. So as you're going through this process and a lot of emotions are coming up, there may be some times that you just need to have a good cry.
Yeah.
It was like that when we had the car fire.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a couple moments where I had a meltdown and just cried like, oh,
and
I
then
feel
you felt
so
great.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, good.
You got to relieve stress, people. Work out. Have a good cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do things don't just get trapped in your emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't go into binge eating. That's only going to make you feel worse.
That's true.
Because your body, like if you're...
so many people right now, all they're doing is snacking.
They're snacking
all day long.
Work out. Do a sit-up or two, for God's sakes.
There's nothing wrong with enjoying food, but don't be doing it out of boredom and comfort eating, because that's going to make you feel more
It physically
out of control.
crashes your system even worse, and it can cause more problems. Anyways, get outside, because the truth is, like, the quarantine that's beginning to happen all over the U.S. isn't like, everyone's like, yeah, but you can still go on walks. Yeah. Social distance, everyone. Social distance.
Yes.
The buzzword for 2020.
I mean, I think some cities you're not allowed to do, I don't know what it is, but if you can go for walks, most of us still can go for walks.
Yeah. Yeah. Or open your window and dream of walking outside. But if you can, go get outside.
Yes.
Exercise outside.
Yeah. Live, enjoy, find ways to have fun with your kids.
Do something for others too, by the way, while you're doing that. Because the reality is with our online like world community that we have, we're able to reach out to people very easily via Instagram, Facebook. Find out about your neighbors. Find out about people in your city that you love and care about. Find out what their needs are. Oh, you need food and you can't get it from the grocery store, or you can't actually get out because you actually, feel like, oh, we might be sick. Then ask them what they need, go buy it and put it on their doorstep. Utilize your resources to benefit someone's life, and you're going to feel vibrantly alive and more connected to humanity than ever before, because you're actually doing something to engage it.
There's lots of organizations that you can donate to, but even I think something as little as have your kids all draw cards for a family.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Decide that you're going to call all the grandparents and have all of your kids tell them why you love them, or you have time to choose to love the people who are in your life. Love your people well. Go call all your people and tell them why you're glad they're in your life.
I saw a post from an assisted care facility, and there was an older gentleman inside the care facility. The window was open, and sitting outside the window was a friend of his, a younger gentleman, and they were having dialogues and hanging out and connecting with their social distance. And he was just outside.
Oh, that's not the post I thought.
Oh no, but
there was another one where there's this old man who just drew on a sign and went outside the window because his wife was in an assisted living place, but it was shut down for quarantine, and the sign said like, happy anniversary, always loved you, always will. And he just stood out there and like showed her the sign through the window. I mean, there's ways to love people. This is such a fun time to birth creativity.
Yep. So get creative and begin to ask, how can I give back to the world right now, instead of like in the journey of loving ourselves, the byproduct should be loving others and being sacrificial.
Yeah.
And when we get so self-focused, when we talk about selfishly self-focused, we're only looking at what we don't have, what's not going well for us. That's so destructive.
Yeah.
And that's and that will actually lead to depression and hopelessness and unhealthy self-pity. So we can look and go, oh, what am I feeling? But then that turns into, all right, what's the world feeling? What are people going through? What do I have to give to the world, and how can I meet them and love them?
Yeah. And I think fun time to read books, fun time to like, The Tree of Life is a great book to read to your kids. I know I'm being playful, but it's true. It's a great family book because it's packed with like good life truth. But it's fun and adventurous, and every age loves it. Teenagers love it. Little kids love it. Adults love it. 50-year-olds love it. 80-year-olds love it. So find a book and read together. Like, find some fun things to do Just my heart in this would be to remind you, you have two choices in life. Things can happen to you or things can happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always looking for, how can this be a gift to me? What is the beauty? And I don't feel pressure. I don't feel pressure like I have to enjoy this so much. That's not what I'm saying. And how can this be for me? I don't feel like every day, like I have to love this so much or else I'm wasting it. Like, I just feel this, okay, I'm embracing what comes up from this. I'm embracing the journey of this. I'm going to actually have more peace after this because we're going to get back to life.
Yeah.
Life is going to get back to normal. We're all going to be okay. People are going to find themselves adjusting to a new normal. Mm-hmm. Some things will be birthed that are brand new. Some things will go back to the same that we imagine will never go back to the same. And so my job is just to enjoy the journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I don't have to figure out how to be superhuman during this journey. I don't have to figure out how to do everything right. I don't have to love this journey so much, but I also don't have to, and I don't have to never feel negative emotions. I just get to fully embrace the beauty that is being out of control.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say this as a side note with that. So we're talking about loving others. There's the people right in your home. And I made a post the other day because I got my Ninja Turtle diorama set up here inside of the recording studio and everything. And I place like all the bad guys next to the good guys. So like Shredder sitting next to Michelangelo eating pizza. And I took pictures of everyone hanging out together and sent it to some of my nerd groups online that I have. But in the post I wrote, oftentimes family can feel like an enemy, but now's a time to make amends, to bury hatchets, and begin to rebuild and repair in our households. And it's a great opportunity to come alive and learn how to love. And some of you, for the first time, are having invitations to have conversations you've never had. Sometimes with your parents, your kids, your spouses, like, hey, all right, life's a little less distracting. Can we talk about some things?
Yeah.
In whether it's I'm sharing some things about my heart that I've never shared, or I'm asking questions I've never asked, like, hey babe, how have you been experiencing me recently? How do you feel about me? How do you feel about our relationship?
How are we doing? How full is your love tank?
Yeah.
What are ways we could love each other really well during this time?
Even talking to kids like that. Hey kiddo, how have you been feeling about your relationship with dad or mom? And what are ways I can love you more? What are things that you're feeling and going through right now? Engage. There's tons of opportunity to engage, and there's tons of opportunity to maybe think enough to go, ooh, I haven't been so great to my kids. Hey kids, dad or mom wants to sit down and apologize for some things because a lot's been coming to my mind in this last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And then again, have realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Don't think that like, oh, during these 2 weeks, I need to have every deep conversation that I've been missing for my whole life. Like, we want to inspire you, but not have you feel condemnation or like perfectionism of I need to do this perfectly. So be inspired to love and connect and dig into this moment and give yourself grace. Like for me, I know when I saw that it was quarantine, I was like, great, I have so much time to get all of these house projects that I've wanted to do done and catch up on all this stuff. But I'm still physically really recovering from my trip to Spain. And so every day I get way less done than I thought I would. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I'm letting go of expectations. I'm letting go of control in those areas. And I'm choosing control over choosing faith, hope, love, engaging people, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So do you have anything left to say? Otherwise, I have kind of some wrap up stuff I want to say.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
We are recording this on March 22nd, and 12 years ago, you proposed to me.
I did.
Did you remember that? Did you know it was our anniversary?
It is.
You did?
Yeah.
You knew? You didn't forget?
No.
Oh. Happy engaged anniversary.
That was the best day of your life.
It really was a great day.
That was a great engagement.
Oh, yeah. You killed it.
I did.
And I'm so happy to be married to you.
You can hear that engagement story if you go back to some of the earlier episodes in the Connected Life. We have it in the first
2, 3, 4, 5.
Somewhere in there. If you haven't listened to it, I'm sure you have if you're listening right now. So to wrap some of this up, you're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. We're going to bounce back. Some of you that have moments that don't feel okay, like some of the things I said could happen, and maybe some of you are going, that already happened, or I'm seeing that happen right now. There are such beautiful invitations for the best version of you to come out, or the best opportunities to start falling in place in your favor. There are some people during this journey who will suddenly lose jobs that will get inspired to create businesses.
Yes.
That they'll go, I would have never become the financial entrepreneur that I became.
Or inspired to go after the job they've been wanting to for years, but had too much fear to.
Yeah, because you were scared of, you had one job and it felt stable, and now you don't have it. And now you're like, the one thing that was holding me back was quitting the job that felt so stable, and it threw me out anyways.
Some of you are going to get to move in with your parents because you need money. And that's the best thing that happened to me and Justin and his family. When we moved in with them, our whole lives changed.
And speaking of that change for many people, they believe is debilitating because we are so adverse to change. But life is one changing week after another. It's an invitation to change. And we as human beings exert more energy trying to stop change, trying to resist change, than if we go with the flow and we go, there is change in front of me. How am I going to adapt and come alive to it and integrate it into my life? You are going to be okay. And so I can't say that enough. You're going to be okay.
And I welcome you into feeling there's a global connection right now.
We're all having a shared experience.
Yeah, there's something where humanity is coming together. It's not China versus the US versus Switzerland versus it. Like, it's the whole world together fighting a common enemy. And it's beautiful. People are all experiencing being locked up inside and having to deal with their whole life changing instantly. I mean, all of my friends' lives, their kids are home all the time now. School just ended. That is an instant radical change.
Yep.
And everybody's experienced radical change suddenly. And so I just want to invite you to recognize we're in this rare, beautiful moment. Right. Very rarely do we all go through something that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
No matter how, there's different pieces to everyone's story, but we all understand. And that was something when the fire happened in Redding, the city came together. And so I just want to remind you to partake in this beautiful love, harmony, connection that is happening around the globe, to become more aware of this beautiful moment that you're in, never in humanity has there been a moment like this, where the whole planet is going through the same thing and having compassion and connection and empathy for each other at the same time. So it's a beautiful thing. And I just want you to be able to experience that love and commonness instead of feeling alone. You're not alone. You're going to be okay.
That's right. The real villain is Rona.
Rona!
So my last piece of homework, or last thing, is this homework. If you're on social media, go post good news.
Yeah.
Like, to combat the fear, find something that's going really well in your day. Take a picture of it and write a story about it. Share it with your friends and challenge your friends. Give them a challenge of share something inspiring, share something good, hashtag good news, and just begin to get that out there. Push for that to happen. If we can turn the tide of the emotional experience that we're all having, if we start challenging our friends and being a light in the midst of what feels so dark to so many people. So that's all we got for you. Anything else?
Buy the Compassion Project.
Go buy it.
Go buy it. Buy the Tree of Life.
Yeah. Actually, the Compassion Project was going to be out April 9th. It's out for pre-order now and it's going to be out April 9th.
But we're
going to get it up during the Corona, during old Rona, so that people can actually,
because they might need some help.
And need something to do. So we're going to get that out there within the next day or two. So,
woo!
All right. Goodbye.